I dreamt there was an emperor, Antony.
Welcome to Today on Broadway for Memorial Day, May 30th, 2016. I'm Broadway World's Matt Tamanini. As James and I told you last week, in light of the 3-day holiday weekend, we're going to have a slightly different type of show today. Instead of our normal news-based banter and James's dad joke transitions, we're going to bring you the audio from my recent interview with the incomparable Dame Judi Dench. I've been fortunate in my career, either covering sports, theater, or TV and movies, to interview some people that I was very excited to speak with. That excitement never really goes away when preparing for a big interview, especially in those tense few seconds before your subject picks up the phone. Yet, the more you have the opportunity to speak to individuals that you've long admired, the more it becomes easier, the more your nerves subside. That was not the case in this instance. Over the 2 months from pitch to publication, my excitement and nerves remained unusually high anytime that I thought about the interview actually coming to fruition. I mean, it's not every day that you have the opportunity to speak to a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, a Tony and Oscar winner, a record-setting 8-time Laurence Olivier Award winner, and, frankly, one of the greatest actors to ever grace either stage or screen. However, as one very well might imagine, my nerves quickly dissipated, but never completely disappeared, when I heard Dench's familiar, soothing voice say, "Hello." Befitting the stature and universal respect that accompanies her place in our society, Judi Dench was kind, gracious, thoughtful, and wise. Here's our conversation.
Hello.
Hello, this is Matt from Broadway World. How are you?
Hello, Matt. I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
Not at all. Not at all. Thanks for phoning.
The reason we are getting to speak today is that you are one of a handful of actors featured in this new album, Shakespeare Exits and Entrances, along with your late brother Geoffrey and his grandson Oliver and the great David Suchet and Amelia Fox. I believe it was your brother who got you involved with the project, correct?
I think it was. He knew Mike Ritson, who put it all together, and anyway, working with Jeff was a joy anyway. We did it at Stratford several times. And so, I mean, you don't need much urging to do that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Mike Ritson and Jackie Williams, who put together the album. Did they select the pieces that you performed, or did you have a hand in that process as well?
No, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think that there were quite a lot of suggestions, and we came up with suggestions too, and I think it was a kind of amalgam of both things.
Yeah.
I mean, the sonnets, at Stratford and at Stratford you work very much on the sonnets when you're learning to speak Shakespeare. So the sonnets were, we knew many of the sonnets by heart, and so that was lovely to do. Lovely.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about the sonnets because, from a theatrical standpoint, unless you're in an acting school or something like that, or in an English class, you don't often hear those performed as well just as an audience member. So was it exciting or rewarding to be able to put those in a project for the greater theatrical fandom to be able to hear those?
Yes, I think it was, because many are known. Many of them are known. But perhaps not all of them. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Mm-hmm. And sonnets that are very well known, and then some not so well known.
Do you have a favorite track on the album? Either something that you performed or something your brother or somebody else did?
I absolutely loved Antony and Cleopatra, and I did it at the National in.
Of course.
I can't remember when, with Tony Hopkins. So I got a bit of a chance to do I Dreamt There Was an Emperor, Antony again, and that was lovely to do.
That's
and you always make mistakes, and each time you think, maybe this time I'll get it better.
Well, I think that's a good thing for all aspiring actors to know, that someone of your caliber acknowledges that you make mistakes at times as well. So that's a good lesson.
Oh, many.
Yeah.
Many.
I've listened to the CD a number of times now, and it's really a wonderful recording because not only does it sound wonderful with Jackie's music and all of you great actors.
Yeah, so the music, isn't it lovely?
It is. It's very nice. And what it was interesting as I was kind of doing a little bit of research is that they wanted to do obviously some sort of classical music, but not something that relied kind of on the traditional medieval type of things. How did that work? Did they play the music for you before you performed the work?
Not at the time. We did hear it, but we didn't record the music and then a sonnet, or the sonnet and then the music. But we had all heard it.
Yeah.
And so we roughly knew what would be where.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, as someone who's kind of dedicated a large part of your career to classical works and Shakespeare, as well as you said, is your passion, how important is it for you to continue to champion projects like this, be it an album or a play or a film, so that people have the opportunity to realize that these works are just as vibrant and resonant today as they have been for the past 4 centuries?
Well, that's what we hope always to do. I mean, I have to rely very much on knowing them now because my eyesight is so bad. But it's the thing of young children and school children maybe kind of thinking, oh, I don't know, I don't want to go to a Shakespeare. One good production, and you kind of catch them, and you think there's the audience for the future, or even some of them. If you can just. It's not an archaic language. It's somebody who knew about love and knew about jealousy and knew about envy and knew about joy and youth and old age and so if you can really, the sonnets I know are much more difficult I think, but with the plays, it's a question of telling the story really well, and if you can, then young school children might maybe want to see more.